I was willing to work like a laborer, covered in grease and oil just to pay for your luxurious celebration. But you looked at my sweat with disgust. You said I was a stain on your perfect party. Fine. At this very moment, I'm leaving. Enjoy your celebration, and feel free to pay the $1,000,000 bill that's about to arrive on your own. Before the story begins, please comment below where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so stories with meaning can continue to grow and bring you more powerful stories. Heavy rain poured over New York City that night, as if the sky itself was crying, mocking my fate. "Come on, don't die on me now," I muttered hoarsely, tapping the cracked speedometer. My old commuter motorcycle coughed once, then shut down completely. Right in the middle of dirty floodwater at the edge of a jammed highway, luxury cars behind me blasted their horns in anger. Muffled curses came from behind tinted windows, telling me to move. I exhaled slowly and glanced at my cheap wristwatch, its glass long cracked. 6:45 p.m. The wedding reception of my sister-in-law, Sophia, was scheduled to start at 7 p.m. Damn it, I cursed. I stepped off the bike, letting my worn work boots sink into thick black sludge. My plaid flannel shirt was soaked through, partly from rain, mostly from cold sweat. Today, I had worked like a beast. No, worse than a beast. Since dawn, I had been at a construction site in Newark, supervising concrete pouring. From there, I rushed to a metal workshop in Brooklyn, finishing iron gate orders just to get fast cash. All of it for one brown envelope now tucked inside my peeling faux leather jacket. Inside, $50,000 in cash. The final payment for the 5-star hotel catering where Sophia's wedding was being held. Natalie cried the night before. The catering company threatened to cancel the premium buffet if the payment wasn't completed before the ceremony. "For Natalie, for this family," I whispered, forcing myself forward. I left the motorcycle at a roadside parking shack and ran. I ran through the rain, across slippery sidewalks, toward a towering skyscraper glowing on the opposite side of the street. The Royal Imperial Grand Hotel. Golden lights radiated from it, an arrogant contrast to the cold darkness I had just escaped. By the time I reached the main lobby, my breathing was ragged, my chest aching. I looked like a disaster. Mud splattered my jeans up to the knees, my hair was plastered to my head, and the smell of oil mixed with sweat clung to my body. Still, I smiled in relief. I made it. I stepped toward the grand revolving glass door, and a muscular arm in a security uniform slammed into my chest. "Hey, hold it right there," the guard barked. His eyes scanned me from top to bottom like I was a thief. "Deliveries go through the back, loading dock, not the main lobby. You'll dirty the floor." I swallowed hard and steadied my breath. "Sir, I'm not a courier. I'm family. I'm the bride's brother-in-law." The guard laughed mockingly. "Family? At the Royal Imperial? Looking like that? Don't joke around. Guests here arrive in Bentleys, not on junk bikes. Move aside. You're blocking VIP access." "Please," I said. "My name is Adrian Wolfe. I'm married to Natalie, Sophia's sister. The wedding is in the Diamond Ballroom. I'm bringing the final catering payment the manager's been waiting for." I tapped my chest. Maybe it was my desperate stare. Maybe he just didn't want the headache. The guard sighed. "Fine, go in, but stay to the side and don't step on the red carpet." I nodded quickly and rushed inside. The moment the door rotated shut behind me, freezing, lavender-scented air slammed into my face. Classical orchestra music floated through the lobby.
The marble floor gleamed so brightly I could see my own miserable reflection staring back at me. The lobby was packed. Women in shimmering evening gowns, men in sleek tailored suits and polished leather shoes. Expensive perfume filled the air. Then, silence. People weren't just looking, they were staring at the muddy footprints trailing behind me. "Who is that?" whispered a woman in a burgundy gown, covering her nose with her fan. "Some construction worker who wandered in." Her partner chuckled. "Where's security? Why is a bum allowed near the ballroom?" Each word cut deeper than the cold rain outside. My face burned. "Stay calm, Adrian," I told myself. "You're here for Natalie." I quickened my pace toward the diamond ballroom. The massive double doors stood open. Inside was pure fantasy. Imported lilies and roses filled the hall. Crystal chandeliers worth millions scattered rainbow light across the room. And there they were. On the palace-like stage stood my wife Natalie, her mother Helena, and the bride Sophia. Natalie looked stunning. A champagne-colored bridesmaid gown hugged her perfectly. Around her neck hung a diamond necklace I bought by liquidating my late mother's pilgrimage savings. Helena wore an embroidered silk gown, regal and powerful. And Sophia, she looked like royalty. A long-tailed wedding dress costing the equivalent of 2 years of my salary. My chest swelled with pride. It was worth it, Adrian. They look happy. They look respected. I stepped onto the red carpet. "Natalie, Helena, Sophia," I called, waving with a wide smile. Natalie turned. Her smile vanished instantly. Not relief, not concern, horror. Helena froze mid-laughter with a socialite. Sophia covered her mouth, staring at me like I had crawled out of a sewer. No hugs, no warmth, just silence. Hundreds of eyes locked onto me. Adrian, the construction laborer, the husband who paid for everything, standing alone in the luxury he financed. Natalie jumped down from the stage and hurried toward me. Thank God, I thought, she's worried. But she stopped 2 steps away. She crossed her arms. Her eyes were ice. "Adrian, what are you doing here, dressed like this?" The words hit harder than concrete blocks. "My bike broke down. It was raining. I ran so I wouldn't be late. I brought the catering payment she said she needed." I reached for the envelope. "Stop," she snapped. Her eyes darted nervously. "Don't pull anything filthy out of those smelly pockets. Do you want to humiliate me further?" "Humiliate you?" I asked. "Look around," she whispered sharply. "That man's wearing Armani. That dress is real silk. And you," she dropped her eyes to my boots, "your work shoes are ruining the ballroom floor." Helena and Sophia had already rushed down. "Adrian," Helena snapped, "do you have no shame? This is a luxury wedding. We invited executives, investors, important people. Why would you come looking like a homeless man?" "I brought the money you begged for last night," I said quietly. "Don't talk about money here," Helena hissed. "People might think we're poor." Sophia waved her hand in front of her nose. "You smell like iron and sweat. Please move. The photographer is taking entrance shots. If you're in the background, my Instagram aesthetic is ruined." Something snapped inside me. I looked at them. The woman whose debt I paid off. The sister whose education I funded. The wife whose designer bags I bought with overtime pay. They glittered, built on my exhaustion, and they treated me like trash. "So what should I do?" I asked softly. "I'll go home."
The rain was still pouring outside. "Ma'am, I just want to hand this over and sit for a moment to drink some water," I said quietly. "Sit?" Sophia let out a sharp, mocking laugh, one that sliced straight through my ears. "Do you have any idea how much these chairs cost?" she sneered. "They're rented at hundreds of dollars per unit. If you sit on them with those soaked pants, they'll be ruined. Who's going to pay for that? You, on a construction worker's salary?" The room fell silent. Even Natalie didn't protest. She simply turned her face away, as if agreeing that my income wasn't even worth mentioning in a place like this. Then a middle-aged man in a sleek black tuxedo approached us. It was Richard Hale, the groom's father, my in-law by marriage. His expression was clearly displeased. "What seems to be the disturbance here?" he asked, his tone calm but condescending. He glanced at me briefly, then immediately looked away, as if my appearance physically hurt his eyes. "Whose driver is this, or is he the maintenance guy fixing the air conditioning? Please handle this properly. We have VIP guests. I'm starting to feel uncomfortable with the smell." Helena's face flushed crimson with embarrassment. She didn't acknowledge me as her son-in-law at all. "Oh, my apologies, Mr. Hale," she said with a sweet, forced smile that looked painfully fake. "This is just a staff member who entered the wrong door, a catering worker who got lost. I'll take care of it immediately." "A catering worker?" I stared at her in disbelief. "Mom, I'm Adrian, your son-in-law." "Be quiet," Helena hissed. Her long, red-painted nails dug into my jacket sleeve as she grabbed my arm. "Come with me, now." They literally dragged me away from the main crowd, toward a dim corner near the service entrance by the kitchen. Once hidden behind a large marble pillar, they released me. "Listen carefully, Adrian," Natalie finally spoke again. Her voice was flat, cold, empty. "You've embarrassed me, my mother, and Sophia in front of the Hale family. Do you know how hard it was for us to secure a wealthy son-in-law like Sophia's husband? And now you want to ruin everything just because you want to show your face here?" "Show my face?" I let out a bitter laugh. "Natalie, I have $50,000 in cash in my pocket, for Sophia, for all of you. Do you think the catering gets paid with leaves from a tree?" "Enough," Sophia snapped. "Adrian, you should leave, now. Or if you're starving like someone who hasn't eaten in 3 days, you can go through the back door and beg for leftover boxed meals from the kitchen staff. But don't ever show your face in this ballroom again until the reception is over." "She's right," Helena added, adjusting her expensive shawl. "You are nothing but a stain on this celebration, Adrian, a dirty stain that needs to be erased. Go home, change your clothes, look in a mirror. You don't belong standing beside us tonight." My fingers brushed the envelope in my pocket. It felt hot. I looked at Natalie one last time, hoping, stupidly, for a trace of defense. "Natalie, do you want me to leave too?" She let out a long sigh and looked at me with tired eyes. "Just go, Adrian. The smell of your sweat is giving me a headache. We'll talk at home." The three of them turned away in unison, walking gracefully back into the crystal-lit glow of the ballroom, towards their wealthy guests, leaving me frozen in a dark corner near the trash area. They thought I would cry. They thought I would beg for leftover food in the kitchen. But in that moment, something inside me broke, and something else rose. Slowly, I pulled out the brown envelope and stared at it. This money was real, earned from sweat, hunger, and humiliation in front of demanding clients all day long. "You say I'm a stain," I murmured. The corner of my mouth lifted in a cold, crooked smile. "Fine. Let's see how clean this party stays without money from a stain." I didn't go towards the kitchen. I turned and walked firmly towards the exit. The rain outside was still heavy, but my heart was colder than any storm. I stopped under dim lighting near a marble pillar, the exact spot where they had discarded me. My eyes followed Natalie's back, my wife, the woman who 5 years ago promised to stand by me in joy and hardship. The woman I sacrificed for, wearing the same clothes for 2 years so she could buy luxury skincare. She blended effortlessly back into the party, her steps light, as if a heavy burden called poor husband had just been lifted from her shoulders. She laughed sweetly when a female guest touched the diamond necklace around her neck. The necklace I bought by secretly selling my late father's heirloom ring. "It's beautiful," the guest gushed. "Your husband must be a very successful businessman to give you diamonds like this." My heart pounded. I held my breath, waiting. A foolish part of me still hoped she would say the truth. "Yes, my husband works hard. He's incredible." But Natalie's answer shattered that hope into dust. "Oh, of course," she replied flirtatiously, flipping her perfectly styled hair. "My husband spoils me endlessly. He's out of town on business, couldn't make it tonight. That man earlier was just a messenger delivering something." My world stopped spinning. A messenger. She didn't just push me away, she erased my existence. She killed Adrian, the husband, in front of her social world and replaced him with an imaginary successful businessman, just to hide her shame of having a man like me. The pain in my chest vanished, replaced by a vast, freezing emptiness. Then a man in a neat catering uniform approached me anxiously. It was Michael Brooks, the catering manager I knew well from countless installment payments. "Mr. Wolf," he whispered urgently, "thank God you're here. The lobster soup and premium ribeye are running low. The hotel refuses to release additional stock unless the final $50,000 is entered into the system immediately. The deadline is tonight." He looked at me like he was his last lifeline. My hand reflexively moved towards my inner jacket pocket. The envelope was still there. Real money. Money that could save their faces. If I paid now, the party would continue. Natalie would keep smiling. Helena would keep her chin high. I pulled the envelope out slightly. Michael sighed in relief. "Thank goodness. Please, sir, come with me to the cashier." I was about to step forward. Then my eyes caught a scene on the stage. Sophia was whispering to Helena, pointing towards me and Michael. Even from afar, I could read her lips clearly. "Get rid of him, Mom. He disgusts me." Helena then motioned to hotel security, whispering while pointing in my direction. They weren't satisfied with denying me. They wanted me gone, physically. My hand trembled, not from fear, from restrained fury. "Why?" a voice asked inside my head. "Why save people who spit on you?" I pulled the envelope back and zipped my jacket shut. "Mr. Wolf," Michael asked nervously, "the payment?" I looked at him. This time there was no warmth in my eyes. "I'm sorry," I said calmly. "I'm not paying." Michael's eyes widened. "But sir, if it's not paid now, we'll stop service. Food will stop coming out. Dirty plates won't be cleared. This will be a disaster." "Not my problem anymore," I replied coldly. "Bill the event organizers. Their names are Sophia and Natalie. They're on the stage." "But sir, they said you were the donor." "You heard it yourself," I said quietly. "I'm just a messenger. Messengers don't carry $50,000. I patted Michael's shoulder once, a farewell. "Do your job according to procedure. Don't pity them. They never pitied you or me." Without waiting for his response, I turned away. As I walked towards the exit, hotel security blocked my path. "Sir, you're being asked to leave. Please don't cause a disturbance." I smiled faintly. "Don't worry, I was already leaving. This place is too expensive for someone like me." I stepped through the massive glass doors, out of that glittering hell, into the cold, rain-soaked reality of the world. The rain was still falling. This time, I didn't run from it. I walked calmly through it. Cold water washed over my face, hiding the single tear that escaped. The last one. I stopped near a dim lighting near a marble pillar, the exact spot where they had discarded me. My eyes followed Natalie's back, my wife, the woman who 5 years ago promised to stand by me in joy and hardship, the woman I sacrificed for, wearing the same clothes for 2 years so she could buy luxury skincare. She blended effortlessly back into the...
Inside the control room of the Royal Imperial Grand Hotel, the atmosphere shifted abruptly from calm to controlled chaos. Gregory Hale, the general manager, placed his phone down on the marble desk with a stiff expression. His eyes locked onto the CCTV monitors displaying the splendor of Diamond Ballroom. On the screen, Sophia's family was still laughing atop the stage, completely unaware that their sentence had just been issued. Gregory pressed the intercom button connected to all department heads. "Attention all units. Code red for Diamond Ballroom. I repeat, code red." His voice was calm, cold. "Revoke VVIP status immediately. Shut down central air conditioning in that zone. Dim the grand chandelier. Withdraw all premium buffet services. Instruct security to block all exits until payment is resolved. Execute." "Yes, sir," multiple voices responded in unison. Gregory leaned back into his leather chair and stared at the CCTV once more. "You picked a fight with the wrong man," he muttered. "Adrian Wolf isn't a sleeping lion. He's a dragon in hibernation." Inside Diamond Ballroom, Sophia fanned herself with an expensive feather fan, her posture smug and victorious. A wide smile spread across her face as she saw Adrian's back disappear through the exit doors. "Finally," she sighed in relief, turning to Natalie. "The air feels clean again now that trash is gone. Seriously, Natalie, how did you survive being married to someone that poor for years? It's embarrassing." Natalie adjusted her elegant updo, forcing calm despite the irritation creeping into her chest. "Enough," she said softly. "What matters is that he's gone. Don't talk about him anymore. You'll ruin your mood." Helena nodded in agreement, flashing her gold-capped teeth to nearby guests. "Exactly. Tonight is your night, Sophia. Let's enjoy this luxury. By the way, where's that special lobster soup everyone was talking about? I want one." She waved at a waiter pushing a cart stacked with steaming bowls. The scent of cheese and baked pastry filled the air. "You, come here. 3 bowls for the main stage," Helena ordered. The waiter stopped, but instead of approaching, he turned the cart around and walked away. "Hey, where are you going?" Helena snapped. The waiter glanced back, expression blank. "Sorry, ma'am. Instructions from Central Kitchen. Lobster soup service is closed." "Closed?" Sophia shrieked. "It's not even late yet. My guests haven't been served." Before she could finish, a deep mechanical click echoed through the room. The grand crystal chandelier, the pride of the ballroom, the one that made Sophia's gown sparkle, went dark. For 2 seconds, complete darkness. Then harsh white emergency lights flickered on. The golden glow vanished. The luxurious ballroom now looked like a dull municipal hall. Screams erupted. "The lights are out! A 5-star hotel and a blackout? What's going on?" "Calm down," Richard Hale shouted, his face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "This is just a technical issue. The generator will—" But the lights weren't the only problem. The steady hum of the central air conditioning suddenly died. Massive ceiling blowers stopped spinning. Within seconds, heat surged through the packed ballroom. The air became thick, suffocating. Expensive perfumes mixed with sweat. "It's hot!" a VIP guest complained, fanning himself with an invitation. "Is the AC completely dead?" Natalie panicked. Sweat began to ruin her flawless makeup. "Where's the manager? Call the manager!" Across the room, waitstaff moved in perfect formation, not to serve, but to clear. Silk tablecloths were pulled from buffet tables. Platters of Wagyu steak, smoked salmon, and lobster thermidor were covered and wheeled out. "Hey, I'm not done eating," a heavy-set guest protested as his plate was taken. "Sorry, sir, serving time is over," a waiter replied coldly and walked away. Chaos erupted. The elegant reception turned into a crowded, overheated mess. Sophia stepped down from the stage, her heavy gown now unbearable in the heat. She intercepted the head waiter. "Are you insane? Turn the lights back on. Turn the AC on. My guests are sweating. My husband, Ryan, his sweat is dripping into his eyes. I'll sue this hotel." The head waiter stopped. Tall, broad-shouldered. He didn't look at Sophia like a queen. He looked at her like a problem account. "Mrs. Sophia," he said calmly, his baritone voice cutting through the noise, "all VVIP facilities, central air conditioning, crystal lighting, and Tier 1 menu were covered under Mr. Adrian Wolf's deposit." Sophia's eyes widened. "Adrian? What does he have to do with anything?" "Mr. Wolf withdrew all deposits and guarantees 5 minutes ago," the waiter continued mercilessly. "As per system protocol, once the guarantor withdraws, all premium services are automatically terminated." Natalie arrived just in time to hear it. Her legs weakened. "Deposit? What do you mean, deposit?" "It means," the waiter raised his voice so nearby guests could hear, "this event is now running without a sponsor. Remaining services include basic lighting, wall fans, and complimentary cups of mineral water." "What?" Helena screamed. "Plastic cups? Are you insulting us?" "No, ma'am. That's what remains within the current budget." 2 staff members arrived carrying cardboard boxes filled with cheap plastic water cups, the kind sold on street corners. They placed them on the now empty marble buffet tables. Cheap plastic cups on golden tables under flickering neon lights, surrounded by overdressed guests drenched in sweat. Richard Hale clutched his chest, pale with humiliation. Guests, business partners, officials began to stand and leaving. "Let's go, Mom. It's hot and there's no food," someone muttered loudly. "They clearly didn't plan this wedding properly." "Wait! Don't leave!" Sophia screamed, mascara running down her face, turning her into a grotesque shadow of a bride. No one listened. A mass exodus began. The bill. At that moment, Gregory Hale, Hanjam, the hotel GM, entered the ballroom. Not Michael Brooks, the hotel GM himself. Behind him, 2 massive security officers and an administrative staff member carrying a portable card machine and an absurdly long receipt roll. Gregory walked straight through the dispersing crowd toward Natalie, Sophia, and Helena, who were now clinging to each other in terror. Hell had opened its first gate, the bill. Gregory stopped in front of them, tall and imposing in a metallic gray suit. Security blocked the only remaining exit. Silence fell. "Good evening, Mrs. Sophia, Mrs. Natalie, Mrs. Helena," Gregory said politely, too politely. "Who are you?" Helena snapped, trying to hide her fear. "You dare shut down my daughter's wedding. I'll report you to the hotel owner." Gregory smiled thinly. "I'm Gregory Hale, general manager of the Royal Imperial Grand Hotel. So yes, please report me. To me." Helena froze. "Let's get straight to the point," Gregory continued, snapping his fingers. "Since the primary guarantor, Mr. Adrian Wolf, has canceled all financial commitments, per Contract Clause 12.4, all charges are transferred to the event organizer." The admin stepped forward. The printer whirred. A long white receipt began pouring out. It kept going. 1 foot, 2 feet, 3, until it touched the cold marble floor. Sophia stared at it, eyes hollow.
Gregory lifted the top and read aloud, loud enough for everyone to hear. Diamond Ballroom rental, $250,000 for 4 hours. Imported European floral decor, $150,000. VVIP catering for 500 guests, Wagyu steak and lobster, $450,000. Crystal lighting and sound system, $75,000. Valet and special security services, $25,000. Unilateral sponsor cancellation penalty, $100,000. He paused, then looked straight at Sophia. Total outstanding balance payable tonight, $1,050,000. $1,050,000? Sophia screamed, collapsing to the floor. You're lying. You're trying to rob us. Natalie lunged forward hysterically, shoving Gregory's chest. This is extortion. Gregory didn't move an inch. Mrs. Natalie, he said coldly, brushing her hand away, this is a 5-star hotel, not a flea market. These are standard rates. You never saw the numbers because Mr. Adrian Wolfe always handled them quietly behind the scenes before you ever had to ask.
Adrian Wolfe. Helena murmured the name. Her face had gone deathly pale. Adrian paid for all of this? Impossible. He's just a laborer, a construction worker, manual labor. Gregory Hale let out a short, mocking laugh, cold and full of contempt. Mr. Adrian Wolfe is a shareholding investor in several major construction firms, Gregory said calmly. He also holds a platinum membership at this hotel. He works on site because it's his passion, his dedication to craftsmanship, not because he's poor. He leaned slightly forward. You were the ones who mistook a diamond for a roadside pebble. The words struck the 3 women like a sledgehammer. The realization that they had spent years humiliating the very man funding their lives crushed the air from their chests. Gregory extended the terminal toward Natalie. Please proceed. Debit card, credit card, or mobile transfer. We accept all methods. Natalie's hands trembled. She opened her designer clutch and pulled out a platinum credit card, an additional card whose limit was controlled by Adrian, though she had never known it. I'll try, she whispered. She inserted the card with sweaty fingers. Beep. The screen flashed red. Declined. Code 05. Do not honor. Try again, Helena shrieked. Natalie hurriedly tried another card, her personal debit card. Beep. Insufficient funds. Of course it wasn't enough. Her account only held the remainder of her monthly allowance. Gregory turned to Helena, his gaze sharp. How exactly do you expect to pay a $1 million bill with that, Mrs. Helena? Helena shook her head weakly. My social savings fund, it hasn't been released yet. A suffocating silence followed. Then, firm footsteps echoed. Richard Hale entered the ballroom, his face crimson with fury. Beside him stood Ryan Hale, Sophia's newlywed husband, his head lowered in shame. Richard! Helena reached for her in-law's hand. Don't touch me, Richard roared. Sophia flinched. You claim to be a respectable family, Richard snapped at Helena. You said this wedding was fully paid. You said Adrian was a parasite. Turns out you're the frauds. You dragged my son into a shameless, bankrupt family with delusions of grandeur. Ryan, Ryan, Sophia crawled forward and clutched his leg. Help me, please, just pay it for now. Ryan pulled his leg away. Sophia, my father is a civil servant. Our savings are gone, spent on the dowry you demanded. We don't have $1 million. Are you insane? Richard grabbed Ryan's arm. We're leaving. This marriage is void. I'll file for annulment tomorrow morning. I refuse to have a con artist daughter-in-law who starts marriage with $1 million debt. No, don't, Sophia screamed hysterically as Ryan was dragged away. We haven't even spent our first night together. The groom's family walked out of the ballroom, followed by the last remaining guests, shaking their heads in disgust.
Only Sophia, Natalie, and Helena remained, surrounded by Gregory Hale and hotel security. Gregory glanced at his watch. Payment window expired. Transaction failed. He gestured calmly. Escort them to the management office. Confiscate their IDs and valuables. Call corporate legal. Prepare a debt agreement with labor collateral. Otherwise, we involve the NYPD tonight for service fraud. Please, no police! Helena dropped to her knees, clutching Gregory's pant leg. I'm old. I won't survive prison. Gregory looked down at her without mercy. Then you'll work. Welcome to the real world, madam. 2 security officers seized the 3 women and dragged them out through the staff corridor, the same passage used to haul away trash after luxury events. High heels scraped helplessly against marble. "Let me go of me!" Sophia screamed. "I'm a bride!" Her long wedding train tore against a reception table leg, ripping expensive tulle into worthless shreds. They were not led through the grand entrance, but through the service exit. "Through here," Gregory ordered coldly, never looking back. As they crossed the lobby toward the back corridor, Sophia saw something that shattered her completely. Outside the glass doors, Ryan was loading suitcases into his father's car. His tie was gone. He ripped the floral corsage from his jacket and threw it into the trash. "Ryan!" Sophia screamed. Summoning desperate strength, she broke free and staggered toward the car. "Please don't leave me!" She pounded on the window. Ryan looked at her. There was no love in his eyes, only disgust, only regret. The window lowered slightly. "We can talk about this," Sophia sobbed. "We can sell the dowry." "The dowry was fake," Ryan cut in coldly. Sophia froze. "The ring, the necklace, replicas. My father said not to give the real ones until after the wedding, in case your family demanded more." He let out a bitter laugh. "Turns out he was right. Your family is nothing but bankrupt liars." The window rolled up. The car drove away through the rain, leaving Sophia collapsed on the wet asphalt, her white gown now gray with dirt and tire spray. "That's enough drama," Gregory said flatly. "Take her. Interrogation room." The hotel management office was cold, bare concrete walls under harsh white neon lights. No velvet sofas, only steel folding chairs. Sophia, Natalie, and Helena sat, shivering, soaked, terrified. "Phones," Gregory demanded, placing a plastic tray on the table. "Temporary seizure." "I need to call Adrian," Natalie cried suddenly. "This is his fault. He's my husband. He must pay." Her trembling fingers dialed. The line connected. "Hello?" Adrian Wolf's voice answered, calm, distant. "Adrian, where are you, you bastard? Come back and pay this bill. Ryan left Sophia because of you. Are you trying to destroy our family?" A pause. Then Adrian chuckled softly. "Our family?" he asked quietly. "Didn't you say I was just a servant?" "A servant doesn't pay his employer's debts." "Don't twist words. I'm your wife." "Ex-wife," Adrian corrected. "I filed for divorce online with the religious court 5 minutes ago. My lawyer will deliver the papers tomorrow. Oh, and that house you live in? Company property. The car? Leased under my name. Your monthly allowance? From me. Without me, you're trespassers in my life." "Please," Natalie's voice broke. "We're detained. They want $1 million." "Enjoy the party," Adrian replied coolly. "You love luxury, don't you? Pay with your dignity, because your money was never enough." Click. The line went dead. Natalie stared at the dark screen. "He divorced me," she whispered. "And everything will be taken tomorrow." Helena screamed in despair, pounding her thighs. Gregory slammed the table. "Enough." He opened a thick folder. "I've reviewed your finances. You're bankrupt. Assets, 0. Jewelry, mostly imitation or pawned." He slid 3 documents across the table. "There's only one way out. Mr. Adrian Wolf, minor shareholder of this hotel group, offered an alternative so you don't rot in prison. Helena snatched the papers. "Cleaning contracts?" she screamed. "You want me to be a janitor?" "Not just any janitor. General sanitation, public toilets, waste sorting, hospital laundry. Our group owns medical facilities." Natalie swallowed. "The salary?" "Minimum wage, 80% garnished monthly to repay your $1 million debt." Gregory tapped his calculator. "With interest, approximately 45 years." "45 years?" Sophia screamed. Gregory closed the folder calmly. "Then you should have learned, diamonds don't announce themselves."
"The choice is yours," Gregory Hale said as he stood and straightened his tailored suit. "Sign this contract now, and you'll be given employee housing, 1 room for the 3 of you, and 3 meals a day." He pointed calmly at the steel door behind him. "Or you walk through that door. The police are already waiting outside. 4 years in prison, overcrowded cells, sleeping on concrete floors, eating prison rations." A long, suffocating silence followed. In the distance, the faint wail of police sirens grew closer. It was a perfectly executed act of psychological terror. Natalie looked at Sophia. Sophia looked at Helena. They stared at one another in despair. Torn gowns, smeared makeup, ruined lives. With trembling hands, Natalie picked up the cheap pen on the table. "I'll sign," she whispered, tears soaking the paper. "I don't want to go to prison." One by one, they signed their names, signatures that sealed their fate as servants, signatures that traded silk gowns for mop rags. "Good," Gregory said, smiling with satisfaction as he collected the contracts. "Welcome to the Royal Imperial Grand Family." He clapped twice. The side door opened. A heavy-set female supervisor with a harsh face stepped in, carrying a stack of uniforms, dull orange and faded gray, reeking of dampness. "These are your uniforms," she barked, throwing them straight into Sophia's face. "Change now. The main lobby toilets are full of vomit from your guests who drank cheap alcohol. That's your first assignment." The employee locker room in the hotel basement smelled of mildew, cheap disinfectant mixed with old sweat embedded in concrete walls. No air conditioning, only a rattling wall fan squeaked with each rotation. Doris, the head housekeeping supervisor, a broad woman with a stone-hard face, stood at the door, hands on hips, holding a thin rattan stick, not to strike, only to point with authority. "5 minutes," Doris shouted, her voice booming in the narrow room. "5 minutes to strip off those clown costumes and put on the uniforms. 1 minute late and today's pay gets docked $5. Sophia hugged herself, staring at the pile of faded orange shirts and baggy gray pants on the wooden bench. They were used, faint brown stains under the arms, stretched collars. "I'm not wearing used clothes," Sophia protested, tears returning. "They smell. I wear silk. My skin is sensitive. I'll break out." "Oh, the delicate princess," Doris sneered, spitting on the floor. "Then work naked for all I care, as long as you work." Natalie, already accepting their fate, began unzipping the back of her evening gown with shaking hands. "Just do it," she whispered. "We don't have a choice." "But this is my wedding dress," Sophia sobbed, touching the pearl beading, the same dress she had posted on Instagram that morning, "My dream wedding." With frustration and grief, Natalie yanked the zipper down. "This dress is worthless now," she snapped. Sophia gasped as the gown slid to the filthy concrete floor. She stood in her expensive lingerie, shivering. Her tiara sat crooked, her carefully styled hair unraveling.
One by one, symbols of luxury were stripped away. The imitation diamond necklace tossed into a confiscation basket. The designer high heels, cheap knockoffs, kicked into a corner. False lashes ripped off, leaving glue smeared across swollen eyelids. They pulled on the uniforms. The fabric was rough, stiff, and hot. Sophia's shirt was too large, hanging off her shoulders. Helena's pants were too tight, cutting into her waist. Helena stared at her reflection in a cracked mirror. No longer a socialite matron, just an old woman in a janitor's uniform. "Oh God, what will my social circle say if they see me like this?" she wailed. "Forget your luncheons," Doris snapped, tossing yellow rubber boots at their feet. "Wear these. The floors you'll be cleaning are slippery and disgusting." Sophia slid her freshly pedicured feet, done the previous afternoon for $300, into the foul-smelling rubber boots. Each step felt like dragging iron weights. "Hair!" Doris shouted, pointing to Sophia's remaining updo. "Tie it properly or wear a net. One hair falls in the work area and you're fined." Sophia ripped out the pins. Her $2,000 salon hairstyle collapsed into a limp ponytail. "Now grab your weapons," Doris ordered. In the corner stood their tools. Cracked black buckets, dark gray mop heads stiff with age, a toilet brush with hardened bristles, a bottle of harsh chemical cleaner that burned the nose. Sophia stared at the toilet brush in horror. That morning she had held a bouquet of imported roses. Tonight she held a toilet brush. "First assignment," Doris said, opening the door. "Main lobby restrooms and VIP toilets in the Diamond Ballroom." Natalie's eyes widened. "But some guests are still there, waiting for rides. My ex-husband might still be." "Good," Doris smiled cruelly. "Let them watch. Let them see you take responsibility." They marched up the service stairs, boots echoing in the empty corridor. Helena panted, struggling. She used to take elevators even for one floor. The emergency door opened. Perfume lingered faintly. The restroom near the ballroom was in chaos. Vomit in sinks, tissues everywhere, muddy footprints across what had once been gleaming marble. Outside the women's restroom stood two stylish young women touching up makeup. Sophia's social clique. Sophia froze. She wanted to run, to disappear. Excuse us," Natalie murmured, trying to push through with the mop. One of the women looked closer. Her eyes widened. "Sophia?" she gasped loudly. "Oh my God, it is you! Why are you wearing a cleaning uniform?" Sophia said nothing. She rushed into the furthest stall, slammed the door, and sobbed beside the toilet. "Don't hide," Doris banged on the door. "Clean the vomit at sink number 3 now, or I add $1,000 to your debt." Sophia emerged, eyes swollen. Her former friends were still there, recording everything on their phones. "Crazy," one whispered, laughing. "She became a janitor at her own wedding." Captions were typed rapidly for Instagram stories. Sophia grabbed the filthy rag and approached the sink overflowing with sour-smelling vomit. Her stomach churned, but prison terrified her more. With trembling hands, Sophia, the bride who should have been enjoying her wedding night, began to wipe vomit from the sink. Tears mixed with filth. Nearby, Helena knelt scrubbing muddy footprints from the floor, her back screaming in pain. "Adrian Wolfe," she thought bitterly, "is this how hard you worked for us all these years?" Regret came too late. The night dragged on. At 3:15 a.m., the digital clock glowed in the staff corridor. Outside, the world slept warmly. Behind the 5-star facade of the Royal Imperial Grand Hotel, hell was wide awake. After the last vomit was cleaned, Doris dragged them to the stewarding red zone, dishwashing.
Not ordinary dishwashing. Mountains of dirty plates, wedding plates from Sophia's own reception, mixed with hotel dinnerware, towered like the Himalayas. "Move!" shouted John Parker, the furious head steward, blasting high-pressure water that splashed greasy spray across Sophia's face. "Ouch! Please slow down," Sophia whimpered. "Less talking. Scrub." Sophia stared at her hands. Yesterday, they'd been manicured with luxury gel tips for $500. Now they were wrinkled, raw from harsh detergent. Her index fingernails snapped into the flesh while scraping dried steak fat from a heavy plate. "Ah!" she cried. Lime juice residue stung the wound like razors. Beside her, Helena sorted garbage, chicken bones, rice, used tissues, bare-handed. Her gloves had torn. The stench was unbearable. Helena gagged and retched, her stomach empty but nausea relentless. "Mom, are you okay?" Natalie asked, panic rising. The long night was far from over.
Natalie was lifting a metal basket filled with stacks of silverware, forks and spoons that easily weighed over 40 pounds. Her back felt like it was about to snap. Her waist throbbed with unbearable pain. "Natalie," Helena's voice was weak. Her face had gone pale. "I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. We haven't eaten since this afternoon, Natalie. At the wedding, I didn't even get a chance to taste the cream soup." At the word food, Sophia's stomach growled loudly, an aching, humiliating sound. Only then did they realize something horrifying. Since being dressed up at 2 p.m., they hadn't eaten a single proper meal. No rice, no bread, only a few sips of water. And now they were being worked like slaves. Mr. Jono?" Sophia finally dared to ask. Her voice was hoarse. "Can we take a short break? We're starving. May we have something to eat?" Jono, the night shift supervisor, turned slowly, his eyes flat, emotionless. He pointed at the wall clock. "Night shift break was at 12 a.m. You missed it. Now hold it until the shift ends, 6 a.m. Sophia felt dizzy. 3 more hours. "But, sir, we could collapse from hunger." Jono snorted. He opened his desk drawer and tossed a plastic-wrapped bundle onto the wet stainless steel counter near the dishwashing sink. "Here, leftover catering from your wedding earlier. It didn't get served because Adrian Wolf pulled the funding last minute." He smirked. "Should have been thrown away, but since I'm feeling generous, you can eat it. 5 minutes, take turns." Natalie and Sophia rushed to open the bundle. Inside was cold white rice, already stiff, and a few pieces of fried chicken, dry, tough, no sauce, no gravy. Food that was already considered trash. But to starving people, it looked like gold. "Eat, Mom," Natalie said softly, feeding cold rice into Helena's mouth with hands that still smelled of dish soap. Helena chewed with difficulty. The rice scraped painfully down her throat. "Water. I need water." Sophia glanced around and spotted a vending machine in the corner. She ran toward it, then froze. A bottle of mineral water, $5. She searched her uniform pockets. Empty. Her wallet was confiscated. Her phone was confiscated. She didn't have a single coin. "Natalie, do you have any change?" Sophia asked desperately. Natalie had her head, tears welling. "No, everything was in the bag Gregory Hale seized." They stood before the vending machine. Water was so close, yet impossibly unreachable. Then Natalie remembered something. She remembered Adrian. Back when Adrian came home from work with oil-stained clothes, he would often gulp water straight from the kitchen jug. Natalie used to scold him. "Don't drink like that. It's embarrassing, so uncivilized. Why don't we buy branded bottled water instead?" And Adrian would only smile patiently and say, "Natalie, when you work under the scorching sun all day,
Plain water tastes better than the most expensive wine. Standing there now, tears streamed down Natalie's face. "Forgive me, Adrian," she sobbed, collapsing to the floor. "Now I understand. I finally understand what it feels like to work this hard just for a sip of water." Unable to endure the thirst any longer, Sophia ran to the dishwashing sink. She cupped her hands and drank straight from the tap, raw water. It reeked of chlorine, but she didn't care. "Sophia, that's untreated water," Helena cried weakly. "I don't care, Mom. I'm dying of thirst." Sophia wiped her mouth with her filthy sleeve. Just then, the kitchen door swung open. A waiter entered, carrying a tray of leftovers from the presidential suite. On it were half-eaten slices of Wagyu steak, still warm French fries, and a full glass of orange juice with ice cubes untouched. The three women stared. Whose room is that from?" Sophia whispered, saliva pooling. "Oh, this?" the waiter replied casually, as he poured the untouched orange juice straight down the sink. "Leftovers from our VVIP guest in the presidential suite, Mr. Adrian Wolfe." He shrugged. "He said the steak was slightly overcooked, so he requested a new dish. Management told us to throw it away." Hundreds of dollars worth of steak, discarded for being too well done. Meanwhile, they were chewing cold, hardened rice. Natalie clutched her chest. Adrian was on the top floor, sleeping on silk sheets, dining on luxury meat. They were in the basement, fighting over scraps amid sewage smells. "Back to work," Jono barked, snapping them out of their thoughts. "Another trolley of dirty dishes is coming in. Don't daydream. Remember your $1 million debt. If you slow down, I'll report you to management and have the interest raised." With heavy steps and shattered hearts, they returned to the massive sinks. The night stretched endlessly. This was only the first shift out of thousands they would serve for the rest of their lives. 1 month later. For ordinary people, a month passed in the blink of an eye. But for Natalie, Sophia, and Helena, those 30 days felt like 30 years in hell. Sophia's once perfect, clinic-treated skin was now dull, dry, and uneven. Her palms were rough, calloused, her nails short and jagged. No trace remained of the glamorous socialite she once was. Helena had grown thinner. Her cheeks were sunken, dark circles etched under her eyes from constant exhaustion. Her arthritis flared daily from bending over to sweep the hotel's 5-acre grounds every dawn. And Natalie's eyes were empty. The pride and arrogance that once crowned her soul had vanished without a trace. That afternoon, the three of them received a special assignment from Mrs. Darmy, the floor supervisor. In the briefing room, Darmy spoke sharply. "Today, a VVIP guest will check in to the presidential suite on the 18th floor. That floor must be sterile, spotless, and fragrant, not a single speck of dust. Natalie, polish the corridor floors. Sophia, clean the glass windows until they're invisible. Helena, scrub the emergency stair railings." "Yes, ma'am," they replied in unison, voices hollow, robotic. They rode up to the 18th floor. The corridor was opulent. Thick carpets muffled every footstep. Golden wallpaper lined the walls. Natalie pushed the heavy floor polishing machine. Whoom, whoom. The monotonous hum echoed endlessly. Sweat dripped from her forehead onto the floor she had just polished. "I'm exhausted," muttered Sophia hoarsely while wiping the massive window at the corridor's end. "My hands are cramping. When will this debt ever end?" "I checked the employee app," Sophia continued bitterly. "Our wages were cut 90% this month because we broke so many dishes.
The remaining debt is still $1,490,000. It only dropped by a few thousand. Natalie paused, wiping sweat with her sour-smelling sleeve. "Stop complaining," she said quietly. "Just work. If we get fired, we go to prison." Suddenly, ding! The elevator chimed. The golden elevator doors slid open. Natalie and Sophia instinctively stepped aside, lowering their heads deeply. Standard protocol. If guests passed, staff must bow. No eye contact, no presence. The sound of expensive leather shoes clicked against the marble floor. Tap, tap, tap. Firm, authoritative. Then came a woman's elegant laughter. "So the Bali Resort project has been finalized," the woman said warmly. "Mr. Wolf, your negotiation skills are impressive." Natalie's heart stopped. That name, that voice. Breaking all rules, Natalie lifted her head slightly and peeked from under her cap. Stepping out of the elevator was a man she knew and yet did not know at all. It was Adrian Wolf. Not the Adrian in worn leather jackets and mud-stained pants. This Adrian wore a tailor-made navy Italian suit, perfectly fitted. His hair was neatly styled with pomade. His face glowed clean and refined, carrying the scent of expensive masculine woody musk. A gold Rolex gleamed on his wrist. At his side walked a beautiful woman with shoulder-length hair, dressed in a pristine white blazer, holding a tablet and laughing comfortably with him. "Adrian," Natalie said without realizing. They passed her. At first, Adrian didn't look. To him, the cleaning staff lining the corridor were nothing more than hotel decor. But Natalie's trembling voice shattered the silence. "Adrian!" Natalie released the polishing machine. She ran forward and dropped to her knees directly in front of him. "Adrian, it's me."
Adrian Wolf let out a soft chuckle. He slipped a hand into the pocket of his tailored suit and pulled out a thick leather wallet. From it, he took several crisp red $100 bills, 5 of them. He dropped the money onto the floor, right in front of Natalie's face. The bills fluttered gently before landing on the carpet. "A tip for you," Adrian said calmly. "The corridor floor is fairly clean. Pick it up. Should be enough to buy bandages for those rough hands of yours." Natalie stared at the money, then at Adrian. "Come on, Clara, let's go inside," Adrian said to his companion. "The air out here feels suffocating." "Yes, Mr. Wolf," Clara replied politely. They literally stepped over Natalie, who was still kneeling on the floor, and walked toward the double doors of the presidential suite. "Adrian!" Natalie screamed hysterically as he tapped the access card. The door opened. For a brief second, Natalie saw it. Warm golden light, icy air conditioning, fresh fruit on a marble table, a king-sized bed wrapped in white silk sheets. A paradise she once enjoyed freely, now sealed off forever. Adrian turned one last time. "Oh, and please ask housekeeping to clean my shoes again later," he said casually. "They got splashed by your tears. Disgusting." Bam! The suite door shut. The sound of the automatic lock clicked like a death sentence. Natalie was left alone in the cold corridor, clutching 5 $100 bills, the most humiliating form of financial support she had ever received. From the far end of the hallway, Doris came storming in, face flushed with rage, followed by 2 security guards. "Natalie, what do you think you're doing?" Doris screamed. "Disturbing a VVVIP guest? Drag her away, put her in employee isolation, cut her salary to 0 this month." No mercy. Natalie was dragged across the floor she had polished only minutes earlier. Sophia could only watch silently, trembling, terrified that she would be next. Inside the presidential suite, Adrian stood behind the closed door.
He wasn't smiling. He exhaled slowly and walked toward the massive window overlooking New York City. Was revenge sweet? No, it was empty. But at least justice had been served. 5 years later. Time is the fairest judge. It cannot be bribed, cannot be reversed, and for some it moves painfully slow. The Royal Imperial Grand Hotel had grown even more magnificent. Under a new board of directors, it expanded into a 6-star luxury resort. Italian marble and pure gold adorned the renovated lobby. In one corner of that grand lobby, a thin, worn-down woman knelt on the floor, scrubbing a tiny stain that barely existed. That woman was Sophia. 5 years ago, she had been an arrogant bride. Now, at only 28, she looked closer to 40. Her skin was dull. Fine wrinkles etched her eyes from endless tears and sleepless nights. Her once beautiful hair had thinned, always hidden under a cleaning service cap. "Sophia, move faster," barked a young supervisor, far younger than her. "After this, you're cleaning the ballroom toilets. There's a major event tonight." "Yes, sir," Sophia replied quietly. Her will to live had died long ago. The $1 million debt was a black hole. Interest, penalties, dormitory deductions. After 5 years of endless labor, only 15% had been paid. Sophia dragged herself toward Diamond Ballroom, the same place where she had once been humiliated by her own husband. In the service corridor, she crossed paths with Natalie. Natalie looked no better. As the eldest, she bore the heaviest guilt. "If only I had defended Adrian! If only I hadn't mocked him!" Natalie whispered between coughs, blood staining her tissue. The clinic doctor said it was from years of inhaling chemical fumes without proper protection. "We can't afford proper medicine," Sophia murmured. "This month's salary was gone paying fines for broken plates." Silence. Then, suddenly, laughter, applause, camera flashes from the main lobby. "What's going on?" Natalie asked. "The hotel's largest shareholder is celebrating his wedding anniversary and his child's birthday," another staff member replied. "The party is insane, bigger than any celebrity event." They were ordered to stand by inside the ballroom. When Natalie stepped in, her eyes widened. The room was breathtaking. Fresh peonies everywhere, crystal chandeliers blazing, tables overflowing with A5 Wagyu, caviar, champagne, and on the stage stood Adrian Wolfe, more charismatic than ever. He wore a light gray suit, perfectly tailored, holding a chubby 3-year-old boy in his arms. Beside him stood a graceful woman, not Clara, but someone warmer, gentler, his wife. "Thank you to my beloved wife Sarah, who stood by me while I built this business empire. And to my son, Daddy promises to give you the world." Thunderous applause. Natalie's grip on her broom tightened until her knuckles turned white. That should have been her life. That child should have been hers. Suddenly, the boy ran toward the corner, toward Natalie and Sophia. "Ethan, don't run," Sarah called softly. The boy tripped and dropped his balloon at Natalie's feet. With trembling hands, Natalie picked it up. "Here you go, sweetheart," she said softly. The boy looked at her uniform, her tired face. "Thank you, Grandma," he said innocently. Natalie's heart shattered. She was barely in her early 30s, yet suffering had aged her beyond recognition. Adrian approached, lifting his son. "I told you not to go near the service area," he said gently. Natalie looked up, hoping, praying he would recognize her. He didn't. To Adrian, she was just another cleaner.
"I'm sorry if my son disturbed your work, ma'am," Adrian said politely, slipping a $100 bill into Natalie's dirty hand. "Buy yourself a drink. Keep up the good work." Then he walked away, back to his wife, his child, his happiness. Natalie stood frozen. Tears fell on the bill. This was the cruelest punishment, not poverty, not forced labor, but being forgotten. "Come on," Sophia whispered. "The supervisor's watching." They turned away as the ballroom doors closed behind them. Laughter faded, replaced by the hum of air conditioners and dripping pipes. Helena sat by the freight elevator, massaging her swollen legs. "How was the party?" she asked hopefully. "Was the food good?" Natalie stared blankly. "It was beautiful, Mom, but it was never meant for us, and never will." They picked up their tools and returned to work. 3 broken figures in a 6-star hotel corridor, trapped in a lifetime contract, paying for 1 night of arrogance. Above them, Adrian Wolfe laughed freely, truly happy, never once looking back. Because the best revenge is not destruction. It is happiness and forgetting they ever existed. Moral message: never judge a person by their clothes, and never spit on the hand that feeds you. Arrogance and ingratitude can drop you from a throne to the floor in a single night.